Hey everyone, welcome back to the Chopper Effect Garage. My name is Brett, and you know what we do here. We make motorcycle related videos. Today I want to talk about something kind of foreign to me, and that's the new Rebel 1100 from Honda. Never in my life did I think I would want to own a Honda, much less a Honda Rebel. So let's think about it. What do we picture when we think Honda Rebel? I know for me, that's where I learned to ride on in the MSF course. It was slow, it was clunky, and it was just basically the worst motorcycle I can ever remember throwing a leg over. But that's not to say that Honda has been archaic in their ways forever and ever. I said the word archaic because that comes up later in the video. What Honda has done recently in the last couple of years is they have tried to expand the entry-level market for their cruiser motorcycle. For years and years, the 250 is what reigned supreme for the new motorcycle rider. You can get them dating back into the 90s, hell, probably even the 80s. But in recent years, they did kind of start up in their game where they made a 300 for the base model, and then they also brought out a bigger displacement 500 as well. This is the perfect entry-line competitor for the cruiser market. I mean, it would go up well against the streets of the Harley Davidson, which I know those aren't for everyone, but you know, they made them for a while. There had to be a certain market for it. So what Honda has done now though, is they have taken the African Twin 1100cc engine and they have fit it inside the Honda Rebel. And guys, gals, it looks really cool. And the way that they are even trying to market it with making it either a touring or an adventure bike or accessorizing it however you need to, I think they're really gonna hit a key demographic. And let's not forget, Honda is also usually a very cheap product. Exhausts are cheap, intakes are cheap, parts in general are cheap. So that's why I'm hoping we'll follow suit with this motorcycle. For those who aren't too familiar with the motorcycle, again, it is somewhat new. I am going to first show you today the promo that Honda came out with to get everyone excited about it. And then from there, I'm going to lead into 5 motorcycles that I think should be worried about the Honda Rebel coming into the market. Let's go ahead and roll that Honda footage, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the competition on paper. Again, we don't know how this bike is going to be in real life yet. None of us have had the pleasure to ride it versus the other bikes that I'm going to demonstrate. This is purely a paper comparison. So with that, let's get going. We'll start with the Kawasaki and the Z900RS. From an overall performance standpoint, the Z900RS beats the Rebel in most categories. The only true advantages of the Rebel here are the miles per gallon and the price. The Z900RS is nearly $3,000 more, but the overall value for money makes it a bike that will not be hurt too much by the Rebel coming onto the market. Next, we'll move on to the Triumph Scrambler 1200. This is where the Rebel really starts to hold its own. Assuming the power plant from the African Twin is on par with what the Rebel will get, It will be a lighter bike with more horsepower and torque. The Triumph should get you over 200 miles per tank, however, with its 4.2 gallon tank getting a remarkable 58 miles per gallon. The Rebel comes in nearly $5,000 cheaper, which will be a strong competitor in this segment as the performance will be there on a budget package. Staying in the Scrambler category, we'll venture into Ducati's world with the Ducati Scrambler 1100 Pro. While the weight of the Rebel 1100 is more than Ducati's entrant, the power to weight ratio is actually slightly better with the Rebel 1100. The Rebel is also going to be liquid cooled as opposed to the air cooled of the Ducati. This will make a huge difference for those city commuters who will get stuck inevitably in stop and go traffic. The Ducati does sport a slightly larger tank, but due to its poor MPG, the Rebel will actually go further on a single tank. Once again, the Rebel will definitely be competition for Ducati. However, Ducati is a status symbol, as illustrated by its price, and the people interested in Ducati probably pretend that Honda doesn't even exist. Finally, we start to hit the American markets. How will the Honda stack up next to our last two entry-level bikes? Let's start with Indian Motorcycles and their Scout. The Scout comes in 70 pounds heavier than the Rebel while making the same power. As far as performance goes, the Rebel will probably run away from the Scout in a straight line and most likely in the turns as well. They both get high 40s for their miles per gallon, however the Rebel's slightly larger tank means you'll get more miles per fill up. The Rebel comes in nearly $2,200 less than the Scout, making the Rebel a true competitor. For those who want the American cruiser with the Japanese reliability, they might have found their bike in Honda. Last but not least, we compare it to the dinosaur, the HD Sportster 1200. The Sportster wins for me in 0 categories except for maybe sound and the prestige, both of which aren't measurable for us here today. The Sportster makes less horsepower, less torque, and weighs nearly 80 pounds more. It's archaic like the Ducati with its air-cooled motor, so once again for those in stop-and-go traffic, you are going to heat up really quick. They do average about the same miles per gallon, but again the slightly larger tank will eke out about an extra 20 miles or so for the Rebel 1100. The lean angle also leaves something to be desired on the Sportster at just 27 degrees right, 28 degrees left. The Rebel is more in line with the Scrambler series with its 35 degree lean angle, which means you can get a lot lower into those corners. The Sportster is the closest in price, but in my opinion, matches up the worst. This was just a comparison on paper as far as how the Rebel 1100 will stack up against those in its same category. I love all the motorcycles listed here. I would own any of them. I even own a lesser version of the Sportster that I quote unquote probably talked so down on, but trust me guys, I do love the Sportster. I love all the Scramblers of the world, and I especially love the Z900RS. Wink wink, nudge nudge, maybe someday. So with that being said though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you on the next dark side, as this is the way. Chopper Fit out. See you.